Hi there, lovers. Amitabh Elliott here. It's morning in Ontario. Whoops, did I say where I live? No, I'm not saying that. Anyways, Amitabh Elliott here. I just wanted to talk about a few things here about happiness. Because this is all we really want in life, is to be happy. That's all anybody wants, the pursuit of happiness. That's what Will Smith says. And that's what the U.S. law says. We're all entitled to the pursuit of happiness, the Constitution, I believe. Anyhow, how do we get happy, and what are the obstacles to happiness? So this is probably the most important subject we can ever think about or talk about in our life. And even though thinking about it is kind of an obstacle to that goal. Because every time there's unhappiness, there's thinking. And yet, there can be happiness when there's not thinking. But there cannot be unhappiness when there's not thinking. So this is the really interesting trick when we talk about happiness and look at it, is thinking. Thinking is this factor that cannot be taken out of the equation, because it's the only factor that contributes to unhappiness. Because there is no unhappiness without an unhappy thought, and which means that thinking is, unhappiness is predicated upon thinking. So we can change the type of our thinking, the kind of thinking we have, or we can try to lessen our thought altogether. It's impossible to eliminate it, because thought is a product from a cause. It's an effect from a cause, and thought occurs because we're in a body. We're in bodies, and bodies are in contact with the world. We're in contact with the physical world. We're in contact with taste, touch, smell, sight, sound, feeling. And therefore, wherever there's contact, there's going to be consciousness generated. So there's going to be sense consciousness generated. And therefore, as long as we have a body, we're going to have thinking. And who knows, maybe we'll have thinking after the body too, I don't know. But most of the thinking is due to the body. Most of the thinking is due to the contact with the world and with the mind. So thinking can also occur as an effect from other thoughts. So thoughts can trigger other thoughts. And so really, like, we have to look at this thinking and say, well, it's actually a problem. Thinking is a problem. Even though we can't stop it, it is the problem, because there is no unhappiness absent thought. So how do we deal with this? How do we get happy when thoughts are always getting in the way? Because really, that's the only thing getting in the way and stopping us from being happy is thinking. And we can't eliminate thought, because the body and mind are always generating new thought from contact, from previous contact. So the body, we can't help that the body has contact with the world. But what we can do is we can deal with the mind. We can deal with the kind of contact the mind has with the world. And we can deal with the kind of thoughts that we're having now, because we do have this sort of personal will, this ability to choose somewhat, based on our present moment awareness. We have the ability to choose what we think about. We don't have as much control about what our body experiences. We have a little bit of control there. But really, we need to deal with this element of thinking and deal with that and really try to get it under control, because if we don't, the mind will just run wild, and it's insane. My mind's insane. It's always insane. And the only way I've found to deal with that is through getting it concentrated, because it seems that this distracted mind is a real source of suffering, because it just gets pulled so easily by other thoughts and by ideas and by outside stimuli. So what we really need to do is get it really, really focused, really concentrated, and every single day touch the ground of peace through meditation. It just doesn't seem to be any way around it, because you can try affirmations, you can try all these wonderful things, but all they're doing is creating new thinking patterns, and they can help, but they're still creating new thought. And as long as there's new thought, there will always be these ups and downs, these waves and undulating sort of vicissitudes of life where there's happiness followed by misery and misery followed by happiness. It's just up and down, peaks and valleys. So what we really need to do is every single day break that pattern of peaks and valleys and touch the ground of peace through meditation. So how do we do that? How do we meditate? Well, an easy way to do it is to focus on a mantra. I mean, it's sort of the thing I started on, and I'm still coming back to it, even though I've done Vipassana. It's wonderful, but Anapana meditation can be very challenging, especially when your mind's distracted. So I'm still coming back to using Om, and I kind of try to focus a little bit on my breath also at the same time. But just repeating Om, I mean, apparently it's this mystical, universal word that has a lot of power, and I believe it does too. So just closing your eyes and repeating Om in your mind, it definitely does something. It has an impact upon the mind state. It has an impact upon happiness, and it sort of allows the mind to become laser focused, and so that it can be less distracted and just be in the present moment without being pulled in so many directions. And it's kind of like if you were walking 10 dogs and you threw food in 10 different directions. That's what the mind kind of does. It pulls us in all these different directions, and it's really hard to stay centered when you're being pulled all the time by thought. So what Om does is it throws the food only in one direction. So all the dogs are going in one direction. You sort of get pulled into peace as you repeat Om. And so it's something to try. And the other thing to try is really generating some metta. It's hard to generate metta, though, if you don't have any concentration. So if metta isn't working for you, come back and do Om. Repeat a mantra. Repeat a single word. It doesn't have to be Om, but I find it really successful. It's really not a religious word, so it's just a word, and it can just be a sound for you, but it does seem to have an impact. And the Buddhist monks seem to believe that it's a powerful protection word. The Hindus believe it's a powerful protection word. And many other philosophies have talked about this word Om, and said that it's a very powerful universal word. So it's worth trying, and also metta. So I just wanted to reflect a little bit on happiness, and perhaps for myself, and perhaps for you. So we can kind of look into this matter and sort of see, like, what are the real barriers to me being happy? And I find personally that every time I'm unhappy, there's a thought that says I'm unhappy. There's a thought that's complaining about this person or that person, or myself, or my circumstances. And so really what I need to do is work on this thinking and deal with this thinking and not try to deny it and try to force it down. But in a way, that needs to happen too. You know, we can't just let it get out of control. We do need to plug the volcano that is thought that just wants to keep exploding. We need to stop it and say, whoa, this is enough. This is enough. Because it will sap you of energy, it'll sap you of vital life force, and it can make you really sick and depressed. So if we don't stop the train of thought, the train will just keep going and just smash and crash into something. And that's really not good, because we do need to have some, I hesitate to use the word control over our thought, but in some ways, yes, we do need to have a little bit of control over our thinking process, or otherwise it will control us. So try this Om. Try 10, 20 minutes a day, maybe twice a day if you can. Just sitting with your eyes closed in a dark room is good, because there's less visual stimuli and less distraction with that contact sense. Sit with your back straight, and it seems to be easier when you sit with your back straight, because you're more alert, and some people say the energy flows better. I would say so too. And so try repeating Om. And if your mind goes crazy during the day, you can even repeat it during the day. Just say Om, Om while you're doing all your tasks. You can try other mindfulness practices, but maybe try this out. See how it works, and comment below and let me know.
if you've had any success with Om, and try it out and let me know how it works for you. So I love you. Just wanted to share a little bit. I know it's been a little while. Hope you have a wonderful day. Peace out.